Hello, everybody. Welcome to the TriStar Gym channel. Today's episode, we're going to be doing together a pre-fight analysis. I want to hear what you guys have to say. I put up a poll, Aljamain, Sterling, or Sean O'Malley. I figured out, guys. I figured out how to poll you now. I figured it out. Now you guys can give me the stats. Go in the chat. Give me the poll. Who do you think? Aljamain, Sterling, or Sean O'Malley? Who's going to win this upcoming fight on Saturday? I'm super excited about this fight. I went over these guys' fights, their footage. Guys, use promo code SUMMER50 off to get anything 50% off on jujiclub.com. Check out jujiclub.com for conditioning videos on how to keep your knees healthy, your back healthy, how to condition your body, how to do jiu-jitsu striking. Check it all out. Guys, who am I picking? I'm going to come out and say it. I just watched their footage now, and I'm picking Aljamain Sterling. Let me tell you why I'm picking Aljamain Sterling. And this is a very, very difficult fight to call. I'm giving Aljamain Sterling the edge in conditioning and 5-round experience. Aljamain has the edge in conditioning and the mental edge. I find he stays calm under high stakes, high pressure. In dangerous situations, he's unusually well composed. I just watched his fight with Peter Yan, and in the final round, I thought he lost the 5th round. 2 judges gave Aljamain Sterling the 1st round, which is very hard. This is a very difficult round to call, but I gave it to Peter Yan, to be honest with you. I gave round 1 and the rematch. Peter Yan versus Sterling, the rematch. I gave round 1 to Peter Yan, 4 and 5 to Peter Yan, of course. 2 and 3, of course, goes to Aljamain. Now, I would have gave 10-8 for round 3 for Aljamain because he controlled the back the whole time. Again, they don't score it that way, but I find that if you hold the back for that long, that much control, you deserve a 10-8. It's just my opinion. I think it shows so much dominance. Nonetheless, I find he stayed incredibly composed. In his fight against Henry Cejudo, he was in tight situations, stayed extremely composed, put the strikes together, did a phenomenal job with the footwork, switching stances. An incredible, incredible fight. Now, I think personally, he can get knocked out. Of course, Sean O'Malley can knock out anybody at 135. He's long, he's lanky, he's got power. However, there are 2 major drawbacks that I think hurt Sean O'Malley. One, he seems to have an Achilles heel. The low kicks, we've seen him against Chito Vera and his other fight, I forget his opponent's name right now. He got kicked to the leg. He seems to have a problem, a certain soft spot in the leg. And 2, I really believe Aljamain can take him down consistently and bank in rounds. Now, Peter Yan took down Sean O'Malley several times. Sean O'Malley also took down Peter Yan, and I believe it was at the end of round 1. Beautiful spin double, just a beautiful takedown. However, nonetheless, I went through the fights. I give the takedown edge, no doubt, to Aljamain Sterling. I give him the edge in 5-round experience. I give him the edge in the mental edge and composure when things get tough. Aljamain is surprisingly, unusually well composed, I should say. And 3, I think he's going to out-wrestle O'Malley. Peter Yan out-wrestled O'Malley, not easily, but he did it. And I think Aljamain out-wrestled Peter Yan. I'm not doing MMA math. You guys know I'm not a believer in MMA math. However, I'm just trying to make a little point here saying that Aljamain has significantly better wrestling than Sean O'Malley. Enough to get into the legs, double leg him, or even body lock him and take him down. I think he gets the job done. I think he takes down O'Malley several times during the fight. At least 2 or 3 takedowns he's gonna get, and that's gonna bank in the round. Now, how could Sean O'Malley win? In my opinion, obviously KO. Sean O'Malley switches stances a lot. I think it's gonna be a cross, either a left cross or a right cross. He has a very powerful right cross, but also a very powerful left cross. He opened up Peter Yan with a left cross. He opened up Peter Yan, but very, very dangerous with the knee. Sean O'Malley landed a knee on Peter Yan. If it lands just right, if it just connects just right, I think he can knock out Aljamain Sterling. That's his path to victory. Landing that cross, those high skyscraping knees from Sean O'Malley. We saw Peter Yan hit Sterling with a knee in round 5 in the rematch. He hit him with a knee. I'm not talking about the first fight, okay? I know he hit him in the knee illegally, and that was the end of the fight. But he hit him legally in the rematch in round 5 with a beautiful knee. If he was a little taller like Sean O'Malley, he could have knocked him out, guys. A knee to the face. That's serious business. That scores a lot of KOs. I'm peeking right now at this poll that I have going. And Hold on a second. I have 70 so far. 76% calling it for Aljamain Sterling, and 24% only. A measly 24% for Sean O'Malley. Is that all the faith we have in Sean O'Malley? Is this a blowout win? Do you guys think he's going to win an easy 5-rounder? Is he going to finish Sean O'Malley? Guys, I wouldn't put it at 77-23. You guys are not being very generous to Sean O'Malley. I would put it as a 55-45 Aljamain Sterling. Guys, this is a tough fight. Sean O'Malley put up a great fight against Peter Yan. I know there's a lot of controversy over that fight, but it was a very, very close fight. Okay, guys, with that said, I want to hear your outlook on the fight. Give me your comments or questions on the fight. Let me know what you think. O'Malley by robbery. That's from Larry Bird. Larry Bird predicts O'Malley by robbery. Juji Club rocks. That's from Tobias. Thank you, Tobias. I worked really, really hard to bring you the best content for the absolute best price. Nobody, in my opinion, nobody can give that level of content for that price. Doesn't exist. Do you think the fight is going to be boring? That's from Phil. No, I don't think it's going to be boring. I don't think Sean O'Malley can really have a boring fight just because he's such a lanky strike. Guys, he has great kicks, head kicks, long strikes. He switches stances. He does it all. I don't think he'll ever have a boring fight because he's always has that kill shot ability. He kicked Peter Yan to the head. He hit him with a powerful cross. He hit him with a knee. Like, he has such a variety of strikes. I don't see it being boring. And I know in the past people said, Aljamain fight here and there. He's an exciting fighter too, but O'Malley, his style, I don't think will lead to a boring fight. O'Malley by flying knee. That's from Shake and Bake. Shake and Bake thinks by flying knee. That is a very big possibility. He's such a tall guy, long lanky range, and he's very explosive. All right, we have a super chat from Somali Pirate. If there was a fighter who had the most title defenses in UFC history and he won all his fights because he had insane power, would he be considered the GOAT? Well, that's all relative. The thing is, when you're the GOAT, you have to be the champion in a golden era. Why is Muhammad Ali considered the GOAT? Because when he was fighting and he was world champion, it was literally the time with the most talented fighters. Now, if you look at Mike Tyson, he was also world champion, but people don't really say he's the GOAT in the boxing community. Nobody really says he's the GOAT. Even when he was in his prime. Forget when he went to jail, came back, and had a bunch of losses. Forget all that. Nobody counts that Mike Tyson. We're talking about Mike Tyson in his prime when they couldn't get a guy to fight him. They couldn't find anybody to fight him. Why was he not considered the greatest of all time? Only because Mike Tyson didn't have any great rivals. He didn't have a George Foreman. He didn't have a Joe Frazier. He didn't have a Ken Norton. He didn't have a fighter that was also a phenom. The golden era of heavyweight boxing was the era of Muhammad Ali, and Muhammad Ali dominated that circuit. Mike Tyson was in a regular era, nothing special. There was no phenoms alongside him. Yes, there was Lennox Lewis, but Lennox Lewis came way after. Lennox Lewis went to Europe to box and become a world champion. He didn't want nothing to do with Mike Tyson until Mike Tyson fell off. Guys, I'll tell you a little story, okay? Lennox Lewis is a Canadian, okay? He was originally boxing out of Canada, Then he went to Europe. I know boxing trainers that work with Lennox Lewis when he was young. Lennox Lewis, at a young age, sparred with Mike Tyson. And Mike Tyson, the rumor has it, when they were both very, very young, they sparred together as amateurs, and Mike Tyson whooped him. Then, 15, 20 years later, they fight as professionals. Now, Mike Tyson is way beyond his prime. Mike Tyson, after the fight, before fighting Lennox Lewis, they told him, hey, you're going to fight Lennox Lewis now? And he's like, I need 1 or 2 more fights. He wasn't ready. He wasn't in shape. They say when he went to jail, he didn't throw a single punch. He was not in his prime no more. Guys, look what happened to him after Lennox Lewis. He lost to guys you never heard of. Mike Tyson, before going to prison, when he was in his prime, before he lost to Buster Douglas, before he got on Prozac, before he had all his life problems, I think he would have beat Lennox Lewis. At that time, he beats Lennox Lewis. Now, Lennox Lewis turned out to be a legend, but he's still not at the level of a Muhammad Ali or at the level of a Mike Tyson in his prime. I just personally don't think he was at that level. I think he became one of the greats, definitely, but just not at that level of a Muhammad Ali or George Frazier or George Foreman. Okay, guys, I'm going to do also some non-super chats. Okay, I'm going to try to do one super chat, one non-super chat. Finally, Coach, I felt like you were gone for a while. That's from RJGN. Guys, I was away for 1 week vacation. Then I went for a fight. I was abroad for a fight. And then shout out to Mexico, guys. I love Mexico. First time in Mexico, absolutely loved Mexico. And then I went for a training camp in Morocco, which I absolutely love, guys. Big heart, and shout out to my Moroccan friends. Thank you for having me. Absolute experience. What a great experience Morocco was. Thank you so much. I'm forever grateful for Morocco. I was there for a training camp, and I'm back, guys. I'm back on a regular schedule. It just so happened that those 3 weeks were just out of control for me. Crazy busy. Finally, Coach, I felt like you. Okay, I did that one. O'Malley by uppercut. Aljo is on all fours like he always does. Luis Enrique, not very kind to the champ, Aljamain Sterling. Can he win by uppercut? Absolutely, it's always possible, but I don't know. Aljamain can take a punch. He can take a punch. Do you believe O'Malley beat Yan? That's from Alex Chavez. That's such a tough fight to call, man. I'm telling you, I know so many people are belly aching about that fight. I did edge it out for Yan. I did, but I could see it's a really, really close fight. I did ultimately did give it to Yan. Is the Mike Tyson of today in a smaller weight class? Elo Lopez. Is Mike Tyson of today in a smaller weight class? Yeah, I guess maybe he lost a lot of muscle. I saw him fight Roy Jones. He looked like he was on gear. You know, he geared up. He geared up nice and juicy. You know, he put on a lot of muscle in a quick, short period of time. It looked better than ever. He looked really healthy. Guys, there's a lot of that in the sport. Boxing is no exception. Coach, if I'm a smaller fighter, Peter Yan was able to hold on Sean on the ground. Surely Aljamain will dominate Sean on the ground. Thoughts? Question mark. Very excited for this fight. That's from Shiz. I'm also super excited for this fight. I think he's going to go to the back. Aljamain has shown that he's really good at back control. He's got long legs. Sean O'Malley's got a thin waist. When you put on that body triangle, guys, it is incredibly difficult to get out of. I just don't. I think he could hold down Sean O'Malley, of course, but he's going to take the back. He's a back taker. Coach, if it's did that one GSP versus you in a grappling match, who wins? That's from Phil. Guys, we grapple all the time, man. We get mixed results all the time. You know, it's like we know each other too well. You know, I know everything he does. He knows everything I do. It's a bit stale when we roll. I predict 5 rounds of Aljamain getting Sean's back and doing nothing. That's from the Mythic, guys. Aljamain, I want to look who did Aljamain fight that looks like Sean O'Malley, and I looked up. You know, he fought Corey Sanhagen. I watched the fight, guys. If you didn't see that fight, Aljamain did something very different. He went forward. He went forward. Like if you saw him fight Peter Yan in the rematch, he was footwork, side to side. First round, he just kind of circled a lot, picked and poked, circled a lot. Then in round 2, he started shooting. Round 3, he started shooting. Round 4, he shot 22 takedowns and got 2, statistically, okay? Those 2 takedowns, he banked on them. He doesn't need much. He just got to take you down once. He banks in the round. 2 takedowns, he banked in 2 rounds. Now, 2 judges gave Aljamain round 1. I thought that was very generous. Very generous. Now, when he fought Corey Sanhagen also very tall, very lanky, and switches stances a lot like Sean O'Malley. They have many different differences in their striking, but still many similarities. Long, lanky, very quick footwork, stick and move, pick and poke. And Aljamain put him up against the fence, took him down, ate him up, took the back, choked him. And Corey Sanhagen could wrestle. He's on fire today, but even back then he could wrestle. Aljamain did very well against tall, lanky fighter. Can he repeat that? Can he come forward? Can he attack? Can he put Sean O'Malley on his back? Expose his back, take his back and choke him? I think yes. I think Peter Yan is going to be harder to control on the ground than a Sean O'Malley. Tyson then got whooped. That's from D. Augustine. Yeah, but that was a very different Tyson, guys. Guys, when Tyson lost to Buster Douglas, his wife was divorcing him, taking half his money. His manager, Don King, was suing him. And he was on Prozac. Okay, a very new drug at the time. Okay. He was suffering from depression. He was a massive favorite. Still to today, people refer to that as one of the greatest upsets in sports history. Buster Douglas, a guy you never heard of, beats an unbeatable young kid who's knocking people out with a single strike. Yeah, it's true. You guys have to watch that fight happened in Japan. Mike Tyson, from what I understand, didn't prepare. His mind was elsewhere, and he got whooped. Guys, we're only doing questions on the fight, so please make sure to keep your questions on the fight. Guys, please, no super chats on anything other than the fight. I'm going to open up. I'm not going to keep us on this fight for long, as I'm noticing you guys are not as excited about it as usual. Coach, if a smaller... Okay, we did that one. O'Malley got lucky in a decision last time. Guys, it was really close. Sean by some random BS. Derek Lewis. Cash. That's from Cash. Guys, it's not random BS. He has a variety of strikes. He head kicks. He spins. He throws flying knees. He uppercuts. He throws everything. The guy's got a very versatile arsenal. He could catch Sterling with a surprising blow. Those make for the best KOs. Okay, guys, our poll is 70-30 for Sean O'Malley. Guys, I disagree with you all. I think the fight's going to be tighter than that. I'm giving it 55-45. I'm going to end the poll right now, right here. You guys have spoken. 70% of you believe that Sterling will win this fight. I find that to be very aggressive. I think the fight is going to be much more competitive than that. Okay, guys, with that said, I'm now going to open up the table to any questions, any comments or questions, okay? No holds barred, guys. Talk to me about anything. What's happening in the news, daily events, training, fitness, fights, other fights, whatever you like. Here we go. Okay, let me see if I missed any super chats. I'm going to do one super chat, one regular comment or question, and then alternate from there. What adjustment do you have to make to effectively use ashigarami in MMA? That's from John Doe. John Doe, you're a very intelligent human being. I personally don't use ashigarami in jiu-jitsu the same way I use it in MMA. I find you'll get knocked out. It's very hard for me to explain to you how the difference is, but one day I'm sure I'll do a video on it. I close a triangle at the top. So ashigarami, when I'm standard ashi, my opponent's standing above me, I'm not going to sit there and I'm not going to sit there and let him hit this pretty face. No. I close a triangle and kind of bridge on my shoulder, and I'm perfectly safe from there. I do it all the time. It's super safe, but I would say 99% of fighters don't know this. They just get punched in the face and they get destroyed. It's hard for me to describe it. I'd have to demonstrate it. Really tough to describe. What are your thoughts on inevitable matchup of Corey and Sean, probably in a title fight? That's from E. Lopez Arts. Corey Sanhagen and Sean O'Malley right now. I know you guys are probably not going to agree with me. I would give it to Sanhagen right now. I want to see how O'Malley looks in a 5-round fight. Now, here's the thing, okay? I love both fighters, but Corey Sanhagen, when he fought Dillashaw, from what I understand or what I saw, bad example. I feel like Corey, if he gets into a dogfight, he's less likely to give up than a Sean O'Malley. Sean O'Malley is very tough. I just feel that they both have incredible offense. They're both going to hit each other. There's going to be scrambling. But Corey Sanhagen is tougher mentally, and that makes a huge difference in the outcome of a fight. Huge. Who's better, Sean or Cejudo? That's from Kushal. Cejudo in his prime, I would pick Cejudo. Pound for pound, I would pick Cejudo. Excuse me. Salam Faraz. If a family member needed surgery and the waiting list in the public health care was too long, where would you take them? That's from Hassan Haytham, a long time member. Where would I take them? Google the best experts in the world, and I'll try to find, who's the best expert in the world, and I'll do my best to get in contact with them. Well, I wish you well. If this is your current scenario, I wish you well. I love Sugar, but I have a feeling Aljo will win. Relatively easy. That's from JJ Psych. Relatively easy? Nah, I don't think it's going to be easy. I think it's going to be a tough fight, guys. Very tough fight. What happens when a shorter fighter fights on the back foot against a taller opponent in MMA? Is it ever a reliable path to victory? That's from Little Trailblazer X. Yes, it absolutely is very possible. However, it is highly uncommon. It is definitely doable. Look at Floyd Mayweather. He fights on the back foot many times against taller fighters, and he wins. He's blessed with speed, and he fights off the back foot, circles around, zigzags, picks and pokes, and wins. It's uncommon. It's technically difficult to do. It's uncommon. Now, I assume what you're saying is, hey, Aljamain Sterling's been fighting on the back foot. He's going to do that against Sean O'Malley. That's a recipe for disaster. And I agree with you if Aljamain does fight on the back foot. That's why I was bringing up the Corey Sanhagen fight. When he fought Corey Sanhagen, go back and watch that fight. He beat Corey in 1 round. He subbed him in round 1. He went forward. He didn't play the Matador. He was the Raging Bull. He went forward, stalked Corey Sanhagen, got him up against the fence, took him down, took his back, and choked him. When he fought Peter Yan, he zigzagged, he picked and poked, sticking and moving. That makes sense because Peter Yan is shorter. Aljamain is smart. A taller guy, he went forward. Shorter guy, he's picked and poked. He's sticking and moving. He's smart. He adapted. Now, if he tries to pick and poke against Sean O'Malley for too long, I agree with you. If he circles back and gives Sean O'Malley the center of the ring, center of the octagon, easily. If he doesn't fight for that center, he's going to lose. I totally agree with you. However, Aljamain didn't become world champion, and he's not surrounded by beginners. He's surrounded by expert coaches. He's an expert fighter. He's a world champion. I assume he's going to go forward at the right times in the fight, and he's going to pursue controlling the center of the octagon. Have you heard of a grappler named Koji Komura? Comlock. Let me look him up. No, I'm not sure if I have. Maybe if I see him, I'll know who you're talking about. Sometimes I watch grappling matches. Well, I watch grappling matches every day. However, I don't remember the name Comlock. No, I'm not familiar with this man. He's wearing a gi here. I'm not a big gi watcher. I don't watch much gi jiu-jitsu. I mean, I rarely ever watch gi anymore. Nope. I'm not familiar with him, and I wish you would explain to me, what's so special about this guy. I would have looked it up. We run the biggest BJJ page on TikTok. Would love to have a conversation with you on how we can help grow TriStar's social presence. That's from JK. JK, email me. And please do contact me. We'll maybe do a fun podcast. Guys, check out tsdorms@gmail.com. If you want to stay at TriStar Dorms and train at TriStar Gym, message tsdorms@gmail.com to book your stay at the TriStar Dorms. The email address is on your screen. Are you excited for Tyson versus Francis in Saudi? Oh yeah, Francis Ngannou versus Tyson Fury. Guys, I will be glued to my screen. If that fight is actually booked, I didn't hear if it's booked officially, but if it is, I'm gonna be really excited. Coach, what app do you use to prioritize your tasks? That's from Raist Rohan. I use the red one. Hold on a second. It's a really good app. Hold on, I forget what it's called. It doesn't say the name. It's just a red check mark. Guys, I'm sorry. It just doesn't say the name. It's just a red check mark. It's a red check mark, guys. Sorry, that's the best I could do. It doesn't say the name. I have no idea why. Also, Volkanovski did that against Holloway. No face. That's from No Face. Um, yeah, he did fight on the back foot. You're right. You're right. He did fight a lot of that fight on the back foot. Guys, it is doable. It's just uncommon. Takes a lot of technical know-how. You're right. That's a great example of a shorter guy fighting on the back foot and beating a taller guy. Great example. Who gave me that example? No Face. No Face, you are a gentleman and a scholar. Good to see you back in the hot seat, coach. That's from Todd. Todd, my boy. Thank you. What had a better career so far, Izzy or Silva? Ultimately, who reached a higher high? I would say Anderson Silva, but he also reached a lower low, I think. But I would say he reached a higher high. Peter Yan, great boxing. Peter Yan, great boxer, bobbing, weaving, timing, and boxing IQ. However, Peter still wasn't as fast as Sean and couldn't fully reach Sean and got caught and kneed in the end. Don't sleep on Peter. That's from Shiz. You're right, man. Shiz, he did get tagged. I like the fact that he, at the end of the fight, he got a takedown, landed a little ground and pound. But he did tag Sean O'Malley as well. In the third final round, he did tag him right back. I do find that Sean had a slight edge in the striking, even though earlier in the round I had Sean here. Then Yan came back, but I gave Sean a slight edge. Then the takedown on the 2-3 shots Yan landed gave him an edge in round 3. Very close fight to call, however. Very, very close. Coach, do you recommend ice bath? That's from Matthew Parajnapad. Guys, I was at St. Pierre's place the other day, 2 days ago, and he's a huge believer in ice bath. St. Pierre does ice bath every single morning. We swam in his pool, then go in the ice bath, you go back in the pool. We're even dunking my kids in there, just like seeing who'll stay in the longest. I think ice bath is incredibly useful, highly therapeutic. However, I don't think you should do it every day. I think he's crazy to do it every day. He enjoys it. I think he's addicted to it personally. I think it's just like it's like an adrenaline rush, and he needs that adrenaline rush every day. He wakes up in the morning, he dunks his whole body in ice water. I think it's not good for your adrenal glands. Okay, I don't have research on this. I just find like when I do it too often, I feel like it's like drinking too much coffee. I feel wired. Now, I think it's great after practice, after hard training, or even early in the morning like George does. That's fine. But it's very therapeutic for after practice, lowering inflammation. I think 2-3 times a week, that's my right number. That's the right number for me. I like it. I don't have an access to a cold plunge, but if I did, I would probably do it 2 to 3 times a week. I think I've done it in the past where we used to have a cold plunge in the gym, a TriStar gym. However, we got rid of it because it was too much upkeep. Guys were abusing it. They were getting in there without showering. It was really annoying, keeping it clean. I ended up saying, you know what, the guys don't respect the rules, take it out. But I think 2 to 3 times a week, it's going to help with the recovery. More than that, for me, it wasn't right. It wasn't right. I felt maybe I had to build a tolerance. Like I think George has built up a tolerance now. But I still feel like when you get in there, you're going to get that adrenaline. Your adrenal glands are going to pump. Certain trainers have told me they've had the similar experience. So I highly recommend it. If you've never done it, guys, it's a phenomenal feeling. It's a phenomenal feeling. And you feel amazing afterwards. You feel like you didn't train. You feel like the next day you feel so much better. You recover so well. The app is called Clear To-Dos to prioritize tasks that uses Coach. Pablo, thank you very much. That does sound familiar. The word clear does sound familiar. I would probably tell you you're 100% right. Let me look it up. I think you're 100% right, guys. It's an amazing app for organizing your task. The app is brilliant. I've been using it for so many years. Let me see here. Yes, it's called Clear To-Dos. Who gave me that name? Who gave me that Clear To-Dos? Who gave me that? Pablo Perez Godoy is a gentleman and a scholar. Remember that name. The man is a gentleman and a scholar. Okay, guys, what else we got here? I prefer to do 3 rounds of Wim Hof breathing and then go in the cold. That's from Pompeii. I totally agree. Whenever I do hot, cold, I go in the hot, I do my Wim Hof breathing, and then I go in the cold and I do my Wim Hof. And I could stay in there for over an hour easy. Easy peasy lemon squeezy. In a hot, ice cold plunge in the winter. I absolutely love it. But I don't always do an hour, guys. I think the longest I've ever done was 45 minutes. I'm saying I could do an hour. I didn't want to stay that long because I find it boring. So I get out and I go back into the heat and, but I feel like I could stay in there. After a while, you just don't feel the cold anymore. You feel comfortable. You feel energized. You feel comfortable. And it's actually a pleasure to be in there. Dr. Dre Foreman, thank you. You're a gentleman and a scholar. Hanain Zubar, talk about marriage. Guys, Hanain's having marriage problems. Ask a specific question, guys, please. Could Habib out wrestle Gordon Ryan? That's from Skeptic77. If we're talking about pound for pound, yes, of course. If we're talking about the current size that they are, I would say, look, maybe. Because Gordon's a lot bigger. Coach, do you have any advice for staying calm when competing? I had my first BJJ competition recently and felt the nerves got the best of me. That's from Sean Kuvarik. Sean, what I recommend, the thing is, when you listen to this study they did once upon a time, okay? It's going to make a point for you. Why do people choke in sports? Why do people choke? What does it mean, choke? You do good in the practice room, then you go on in competition and you choke. You beat a guy. You lose to a guy you should have beat. You lose to a guy who you normally beat in the practice room. You're better than this guy. You beat him in the practice room. He's one of your training partners. Then you guys go in a tournament. You lose to a guy that the guy you school in the gym beats. I see it all the time. We call it like the guy choked. Doesn't compete well. Why don't certain people compete well? Well, there's a difference between the practice room and competition, of course. But let me illustrate it first by giving you the results of a certain experiment. Once upon a time, they wanted to measure IQs. They took a group, they measured their IQ. Then they took the same group and measured their IQ again, however, after exercise. They made them exercise, they make them run on a treadmill, they exhaust the participants of the study, and then they give them the IQ test. And they noticed that the IQs drop. When you're in a state of fatigue, you make bad decisions. How many times can I tell you? I've heard a guy watch his fight and like, I can't believe I made that mistake. I know better than that. Oh, I can't believe it. Oh, I'm so embarrassed. I know that position. I know this sequence. I know the right choice, but I made a mistake. Happens to all of us. When you're in a state of fatigue, you make bad choices. Your IQ, your fight IQ drops. Every type of IQ drops. Okay. That's why I personally always tell fighters, when you're in the gym, you're in a comfortable environment, and you roll, your heart rate might get to 170, 190, whatever it may be, depending on your fitness level. However, when you're competing, if your heart rate in the practice room is 180, in competition, your heart rate's going to be 200. When your heart rate is at 200, you're going to feel very different. You're going to feel like you're running out of air. You're going to feel uncomfortable. You're going to feel like you wish this was over. You're going to feel like you're in disbelief. I don't understand. Where do I go? Like you're having a brain fog. You're choking, as they say, quote unquote. You have to be in peak physical form. When you're in peak physical form, you can handle the stress of being in actual competition. The stress of actual competition is actually different than the stress in the practice room. In the practice room, it doesn't really count. If you tap me, nobody really cares. Nobody's really watching. Nobody's keeping track. We're in a tournament here. People are watching. People are filming. This guy's trying to break my arm. He's not being nice about it. If he gets me in an arm bar, he's going to go 0 to 60. He's going to try to snap that arm off. Now there's a medal on the line. There's money on the line. There's an added stress. That stress is going to elevate your heart rate. That stress is going to cause you to fight harder in positions where you normally would relax in the practice room. Experience and fitness is why you're not competing well. I also like rehearsing mentally, going through sequences in my head. Eventually, you kind of, in a subtle way, are training your instincts. But I would tell you, after practice, you have to do conditioning. Guys, after practice, I do a little bit of conditioning every single day. That's why I'm 43. I train every single day. I wrestle every single day. My joints didn't fall apart. My neck didn't fall apart. My body didn't fall apart. I'm still super healthy. Why? A little bit of dose every day. Consistency over intensity. A dose every day of fitness. It doesn't have to be 45 minutes of crazy circuit training, bleeding to death. It doesn't have to be any of that. Warm up with technique. Roll. 5 to 20 minutes of fitness. 5 to 20 minutes of fitness. A lot of times my fitness routine is just 5-10 minutes extra in the gym. If you're competing, you might want to get more sophisticated. Check out Strong and Stable Knees and Strong and Stable Back. I show you exactly how to get super fit, and highly, highly recommend you pick up Strong and Stable Running for Life. Guys, your cardio has to be impeccable. Impeccable. You need to do it once a week for 3 weeks and then 1 week off. I teach you guys in the PDF the exact running routine, how to make a simple fitness program. I teach you how to do it after practice, why you should do after. Everything I just went through in detail. I give you a schedule. Here are 5 different possible schedules. Here how you would adjust it. Plain and simple, straight to the point. You want to train 3 weeks hard, 1 week nice and easy. Why? Why do we cycle our training? Because if you train 4 weeks hard, 5 weeks hard, you're going to get injured. You're going to feel run down. You're going to not perform as well. You're going to miss positions you were getting 2 weeks ago. Now you're missing them. Your body needs time to recover. When your body recovers, it gets stronger, faster. And your neurological system also, your CNS, your central nervous system, needs to recover as well. Okay, guys, we have another super chat. Guys, I'm doing one super chat, one regular chat. Coach, for us, how do you approach an opponent who sits in the match? Question mark. When they wrestle, I can get to chest on the way down. But when they sit, I have some trouble. Also, Aljo is way too strong for Sean. That's from Jesus Ishmael Polendo. Jesus, you're a gentleman and scholar. Thank you for your super chat. Look, when they sit to guard, you have to pass the guard. That's the thing. That's why they don't wrestle with you, because you're right. When you take a guy down, you can get chest to chest. Guys, I love being on top and chest to chest. I find it such a dominant position. That's why when I sit to guard, the last thing I'm going to allow you to do is get chest to chest. That's why people sit guard, because it's so hard to get you chest to chest. You've understood a major problem in jiu-jitsu. What's left? You have to be a phenomenal guard passer. There's no way around it. You have to be a phenomenal guard passer. Know your guard passing like the back of your hand. Guys, guard passing is really tough in jiu-jitsu. Some guys, not only do they know their guard retention super well, they're also super flexible and athletic. Very tough to pass the guard. That's why you got to be in great shape. You got to fire off one guard pass after another, and you got to be in good enough shape to sustain that pressure and break through their guard. But you have to be technical. You have to be efficient. You have to have the know-how, how to combine your passes, and you have to be in incredible shape. If you have these three, you will generally fatigue the man on the bottom. Why? Because the man on the bottom has to carry your weight. You have an advantage. You have an advantage of being the man on top. The man on top can apply body weight to the man on the bottom. The man on the bottom cannot very easily apply body weight to the man on top. He doesn't have gravity on his side. Advice for someone recovering from meniscus surgery. That's from Cash. Check out Strong and Stable Knees. Okay, I give a full course on keeping your knees healthy. Are transitions the next boom in MMA? DJ flying arm bars, hip throws straight into ground and pound elbows. That's from Razil. Razil, chain wrestling sequences. That's not new. It's as athletes get better, they connect moves together. That's very well known and understood. It's nothing new. It's just plain Jane objective. We're all trying to do that. Coach, why does MMA fighters lack in boxing skills compared to boxers? That's from Moyad Art. Moyad, another question for you. Why do boxers lack MMA skills compared to MMA fighters? Because that they don't train those parts. Think about it. If 99% of my training time is geared towards boxing, Won't I generally be better than somebody who has to partition his boxing training with Muay Thai training, clinch training, grappling, wrestling, all these other arts? Think about it. The MMA fighter has so many more arts, so many more skills to acquire. The boxer, his homework is pretty simple, comparatively speaking. Okay. Jiu-jitsu is lame in a street fight, bro. That's from Ayman Bugindo. Ayman Bugindo. Is that Ayman Bugindo? Ayman Bugindo. You, sir, are uncultured swine. You're not a gentleman and scholar. You're the opposite of a gentleman and scholar. You are uncultured swine. How dare you say that? How dare you? I dare you to pick a fight with a jiu-jitsu practitioner. He will school you, my friend. Salam for Zahabi. I'm Lebanese, Australian, and going to Lebanon for the first time in November. Where do you recommend I go and see? That's from Sinotna. Listen, brother, I haven't been to Lebanon since I'm 1 year old, so I'm not the right guy to ask. Okay, I'd love to visit Lebanon. Unfortunately, I haven't had the pleasure or opportunity, I should say, to go. But I do look very much so forward to going to Lebanon and visiting. Floyd Money Mayweather is the greatest businessman. Keep selling big fights and give tiny hope for his opponents who are bigger than him. Logan Paul tried. Who's next? Show me the money. That's from Shiz. Shiz is losing his mind a little tonight, guys. Coach, every time I see kid eating a croissant, I think of you. That's from Matthew. Croissants are mamnoua. You know mamnoua? You learn a little Arabic. Okay, I want you to walk up to your wife, your significant other, your wife, and tell her, hey, croissants are mamnoua. Mamnoua means forbidden. Mamnoua. Learn that word, guys. I gotta teach you guys a little bit of Arabic. What do you think about Dimitri Bivol? Oh, I love Dimitri Bivol. Do you think it's important for your wife to dress modestly? If I marry a Canadian woman, her definition of modest clothing is different than mine. And do you think it matters if she shows some skin? That's from Hassan. Oh, Hassan, now you have to direct that question to a mufti. Okay, but I definitely, at the very minimum, think a woman should dress modestly. I think it's a sign of, I don't know. I don't know how to tell you guys this. You know, I don't want to get into history. Guys, don't forget, I have a degree in philosophy and sociology. Don't forget, like, I study this stuff. I'm not just some MMA coach getting hit in the head all day, and then I come out here and I spew my views. Okay? Now, everybody has the right to their views, but I'm telling you, like, I'm learned. I've studied this for 20 years, this subject matter for 20 years. I have a daughter. Do you think I teach her to show skin, or do I teach her to be modest? I teach her to be modest. Modest. Why? Guys, if I get into this topic now, I think it benefits her to be modest. Okay, let's put religion on the side for now. It benefits a woman to be modest. Let me tell you why. Okay, I was trying to explain this to my wife, and she just did. You know, she doesn't. I can't say she can relate really. Okay, but a man, after he has relations with a woman, he will quickly change. Okay, if a woman gives herself to a man very easily, her value drops immediately. Guys, like it or not, okay, like this or not, it's a fact. And we can get into all sorts of evolutionary reasons on why. You know, because they say, guys, this is a very well covered topic in philosophy, psychology, and sociology. We have statistics to prove this, okay? A man is geared to fire as many shots as he can. A woman, she's going to be picky and she's going to screen. She'll say, wait a second. Whoa. Who am I letting into my secret garden here? Who? Because if this person enters, he could possibly fertilize the secret garden. And this is a high consequence event for a woman. A man could just walk on. Nothing happened to him. He fires a shot, disappears. She's pregnant. Him, he's out and about. He's on the next town. He's on the next journey. It doesn't affect his health in any way. Now today, of course, you're going to tell me, but women on the pill, they still get pregnant. Oh, what about prophylactics? They still get pregnant. What about abortion? That's a complicated subject, my friend. That's a very complicated subject. One, it's a very taboo subject. And two, it's psychologically harmful to the woman. Did you know that? Some women have, if you meet a woman who has 4 or 5 abortions, What do you think was statistical? We know the statistics. What do you think her mental health is after 4 or 5 abortions? Is she normal? Is she have mental ailments, or is she perfectly healthy? I'll let you look it up. I'm not going to say because a lot of people are going to get angry with me. There are dire consequences for being immodest as a woman. A man being immodest, he's seen as a stud. You know, one of you guys once gave me a really good analogy. They said, look, a key that opens any door is a master key. It's wanted. It's desired. A lock, a faulty lock that opens to any door, to any key, is a faulty lock. Nobody wants that. That's how women are. Women are the lock, men are the key. If you're open every door, oh, you're a stud. We call you a stud. If you're a girl that sleeps with every guy, you're something that rhymes with the word door, generally speaking. If you travel the globe, this is the common consensus. If you travel the globe, if you travel throughout history, this was the common consensus. I know there are places in the world where now this is not the case. Yeah, but that's still just a part of society. It's not all of society. It's not the majority. It's a minority of society. Now, with that said, why would I teach my daughter to be modest, be highly selective, and keep herself from, what's the common trend now in pop culture? Because in my opinion, she dilutes her value. She lowers her value. She hinders her possibility to have a healthy, happy family in the future. Now, we got all the statistics, guys. The more partners a woman has before marriage, the more likely she is to get divorced. Did you know that? The more partners a woman has, the more likely she is to get divorced. That's a fact. That's a statistical fact. I remember they did a video on YouTube once. They were polling men and women, okay? So they asked a bunch of men. They asked, I think, like 50 men. What would you rather marry? A woman who's a virgin or a woman who slept with 20 men, but she's rich? What would you want? A woman who's just has a regular job. She has no real money. She's just a regular person, a regular job, but she's a virgin. Or they asked the men, would you take a woman that slept with 20, 30 men, but she's rich? She can pamper you. All the men chose the virgin. Now, they inverted the question and asked it to women. They asked women, what would you rather have? A man who slept with 30 women, but he's a millionaire? Or some Joe Blow who works a regular job? And I have nothing against anybody who works a regular job, okay? There's no shame here. But he's a virgin. What do you want? A rich guy who slept with women, many women? Or a guy with a regular job who's a virgin? All the women chose the rich guy with money. To them, it was irrelevant that the guy slept with 30 women. To the women, it was irrelevant. Why? They concluded, I think correctly, and in psychology we have the same results. The women judge men on the future, what they think his future is going to be like, and men judge women on their past. What's their past like? Why is this? Freud gave us a really great answer. He said, look, men's deep secret paranoia is that they're going to get cucked. Believe it or not, okay? Freud said, look, he didn't use the term cuck, but he said, look, men's secret fear is that they're going to raise a child that's not truly theirs. Why? Because they can't guarantee paternity. Yeah, the woman's pregnant. She knows the baby's hers. It can't be anybody else's. It's coming out of her body. The guy doesn't know who put it there, per se. He's working all day, comes home. Oh, well, I'm pregnant. Well, guess mine. Oh, I'm so happy. But she wasn't a loyal wife. She wasn't loyal, etc. Oh, it's not mine. That's man's secret fear. Freud tells us that woman's secret fear is that a man will abandon his child and the woman that bore him. So after, I don't know if you guys know this, but after a woman has a few kids, generally speaking, her sexual market value goes down. Men, they have studies on men, which they rate pictures of women, and women who have had children score lower than women who are young and vibrant and, haven't gone through the process of having children. It can change your body in certain ways. You young guys know nothing about this, but as you get older, as you get married, as you have children, you'll realize that a woman's body can very much change. And of course, it could always be reversed. If you know a lot about fitness and nutrition, you can reverse it, but you can never reverse it 100%. You can reverse it, let's say 99%. But for the vast majority of women, they never recover. They never get back to their prime before, the fittest part of their life, which is maybe like their mid-20s, early 20s. They're in the fittest form of their life. Then they have a few kids. Their bodies generally are never the same. Of course, there's cosmetic surgery, etc., but that's never exactly the same, right? Their sexual market value kind of dips after a certain age and after a certain amount of children. Men describe them as less desirable. Now, women's secret fear is that I'll have this guy's child, I'll lose my sexual market value, and then he's going to buzz off and marry some other girl who's younger, fitter, and who her sexual market value is higher. That's what Freud told us is women's secret fear. So a woman will first bond with a man. She'll date him for a year. She'll marry him. She'll make him buy her house. Like, she wants him bonded, and then she'll have the kid. That way she knows that this guy has so much time, so much history with her. He won't just leave her the next day. Now, a man, his secret fear, Freud teaches us, is that this woman, when I'm not looking, she slept with another guy. So he wants a girl who's never slept with another. He wants a girl who's like, the thought of it is impossible. Now, in the West, what country, we have all these stats. What country has the most disloyal women? What country has the most disloyal women? Does anybody know the answer? I know the answer. I know off the top of my head. Why? Because I studied this stuff. Scandinavian country. Finland. I'm not going to get into Finland. I'm not going to talk about the history of Finland and how it got to be. But let's just say Finland, Jordan Peterson said it best. He said Finland is the Saudi Arabia of feminism. If you want the most feminist country in the world, it's Finland. That's why, I have a lot of respect for Andrew Tate, man. He's taken on a giant, man. Feminism has cut the testicles off a certain part of the men in this world. Your testicles are now in their purse. Where are your testicles? In her purse. They're in her purse. Okay? Now, that's why, look, I don't agree with everything Andrew Tate says. However, he's reigniting something in men that's missing something. I don't know what to say what it is. But, look, I treat women super well. I love my wife. Treat her super good. However, I'm still the man of the house. I still call the shots. And I expect her to be modest and straight as an arrow, etc., etc., etc. I love all peoples of all the world and all culture. I think there's good and bad in all cultures, guys. I don't want to make anybody feel, please don't get offended, okay? Anything I say, please, nobody out there get offended. That's not the spirit in which I'm saying this. It's just that I think Finland has a problem. There's a movement that's gone too far, too strong, too powerful. Too powerful. You look at the president of Finland, the PM, excuse me. She was caught flirting and dancing with a guy on the dance floor while she's married with children. And the guy's kissing her neck and she's flirting with him and she's letting him caress her and she's touchy-feely. And it's like, dude, you're the PM. You're going to the table with world leaders. And you're depicting yourself as a party girl. What do you think that does? All the girls in all Finland look at that and they say, hey, the top G of women does that. What should I do? I'm going to do the exact same thing. And look, statistically, they're the most likely women to cheat on their spouse. The most likely women. That means if I'm a rich guy who wants to party, I go to Finland. Think about this. Men of Finland, think about this. Is that how you want your country to be known as? Hey, if you're a millionaire and you want to go sow your wild oats, you guys remember Coming to America, one of the most famous movies ever in my, when I was growing up. Some rich guy, he's a prince, and he's like, I want to go to America. Now, the prince in the movie is trying to find true love, but the father's like, oh, I know why you want to go to America. You want to sow your wild oats. Now, you don't want that. You don't want the men of the world sowing the wild oats with the woman you're going to have to marry in the end. Your countrymen should, there was a time, guys, if a woman had casual sex with a man, listen to this, okay? Listen carefully now. Let's put on our sociologist hats. Okay? Let's put on our philosopher hats now, okay? Let's not put on our pop culture hats. You know, what's popular in mainstream. No. Let's put on our thinking caps for a second here. Let's be rational for a second. If you guys can handle this. There was a time where women, if any girl slept with a man casually, the women would shame her. The women would, not the men. Okay, the men would shame her too, but just let's look at just the women, how women treated each other just 50 years ago. Let's call it 70 years ago. 70 years ago, if a woman had casual sex with a man, she would be reprimanded. Why? Because it's what we call a race to the bottom. Imagine all women got together, imagine, and they said, look, we're not going to sleep with a guy unless he first marries us, buys us a house, pays for the groceries, pays for everything I want, my clothes, my hair, my everything I want. He's going to take care of me to the T. And in return, I'm going to bear him some children. But he will not have any sex outside of marriage until he buys me a house and marries me, get down on one knee. He does it publicly, puts a ring on my finger, and then and only then. Now, what do the men say? The men say, whoa, there's got to be a chink in this armor. There's got to be a group of girls that won't demand that, right? No. If all 100% of the women resist the temptation, and they say, no. You want us? You got to marry us first. I'll tell you what's going to happen. Men are going to behave very differently. Men are going to go out there. They're going to break their backs. They're going to do everything they can to get that money, to get a girl so they can finally have a woman. That's what men will do. That's what men have done throughout history, in every culture across the globe throughout history. However, bit by bit, women started getting more and more casual. So what happened is, you date a girl. At one point, there was like an unspoken rule. It's 3 dates. Imagine, you have to date a girl 3 times. Real easy. You date her, take her out 3 dinners. And then the third one is, it's an unsaid rule that she's going to sleep with you in the West, okay? Now, imagine that. It's a slippery slope, right? It's what we refer to as a slippery slope. Okay, often known as a fallacy, but I'm not going to get into that now. What if a girl will sleep on you on the second date? Well, what if the next girl's going to be like, hey, I'll sleep on him on the first date. Hey, you don't even have to take me on a date. Just call me over, we'll order fast food, and we'll have sex right there on the couch. Now it's known as a booty call, right? It got slipperier and slipperier and slipperier and slipperier and slipperier. And now it's just like Netflix and chill. Now it's just like, text me, I'm coming over. It got so slippery. We went from total solidarity, women having total solidarity, to it's just a text. Now this is bad for men. Why? Because you guys might not know this, okay? But only about 20%, only about 40% of men in history passed on their genetics. Listen to what I'm saying here. Only about 40% of men passed on their genetics. Women, it's like 80%, 60 to 80%. It's much higher, significantly much higher. Okay, I'm forgetting the exact statistic, which is something I normally don't do, but normally I remember statistics quite well. Women pass on their genetics. Why? Because throughout history, men fertilized multiple women. Women go to the elite guys. The guys with the most money. The guys with the most power, the most prestige. Those are the guys who can father their children and gather the most resources. Again, this is basic psychology. Okay, Freud would tell you easily. Women want a guy who can bring home resources. These women are getting fertilized by the same men. They're getting inseminated, I should say, not fertilized. Inseminated by the same men. So this Tinder business is bad. Certain countries are opening themselves up to worldwide competition, and other countries don't. Like if you look at a country like Qatar, for instance, they hosted the World Cup, and they told people on the way in, if you sleep with a woman here, if you sleep with a Qatari woman, you get 7 years in jail. That's a country of top Gs. That's a country of top Gs. I salute them. I think that's totally intelligent. Hey, if you come in here and you're going to take some doe-eyed girl and promise her that you're going to love her and you're going to take her back to your country and you're going to marry her and then you're just going to hit it and quit it? No. We know. We're the father figures here. We're the men of this country. We're not going to allow you here to come and pretend like you're rich and get this girl, put ideas in her head and just dupe her. Now, this kind of stuff happens in countries all the time. Guys fly in. They throw around money. The girl thinks she's fallen in love with a superstar. And then boom, he just hits it and quits it, as they say. I point you to the documentary Tinder Swindler. That's what that guy did. That guy made millions just going around different countries, pretending like he's rich. And he created a giant Ponzi scheme, just taking money from women. They thought, hey, if I give this guy money, he gave them the same lame excuse. Oh, my credit card's been frozen for BS reason. And I'm back with money next day. Just, he takes them on jets. He wines and dines them. He shows them the high life. What do the women do? They just throw themselves at him. They throw themselves at him. They're gold diggers. What happens to them? He flushes them immediately. Robs them blind and flushes them. The Tinder Swindler is living proof of these concepts. Guys, these things are well known. This is commented by great thinkers throughout history. And it's kind of like, people are like, oh, this is mind-blowing. No, it's not mind-blowing. It's common knowledge, okay? Many great thinkers commented on this popular topics. Many great thinkers. Okay, guys, we're over an hour in. Please, no more super chats. I'm going to do a few ones. Real talk, and I'm here for it. That's from Money Glitch. Money Glitch, you are a gentleman and a scholar. You know what's up. Guys, please do me a favor. Don't let pop culture cuck you. I don't want to see you guys get cucked. I want you guys to be gentlemen. I want you guys to be nice, courteous, friendly. But don't be a doormat for some girl. Don't be a doormat. Don't be some guy who doesn't draw a line in the sand. Don't be a guy who gets totally disrespected and calls it equality. Guys, man, I don't know. I know I'm gonna sound like a old fashioned, but really, guys, really, if you guys were my younger brother and I took you under my wing, I would tell you, look, be a good person, of course, be moral, be friendly, be kind, but also make money, be able to provide. A man has to do two things: provide and protect. Don't let anybody ever lie to you. You have to be able to provide and protect. I've talked about this in the past. I'll talk about it again in the future. If you got your business handled, if you can provide and protect, you'll find another girl. Then you could tell her, hey, look, I don't like you doing this. I don't like you doing that. Oh, you don't like it either? You don't like living under my rules? You don't like living under my standards that I want? No problem. I'll just find another girl. Then you can take that. Then you can do it. Then you can have, as George Costanza calls, hand. I remember one of my favorite Seinfeld episodes. He's like, I'm with this girl. I really like her, but I know she's about to dump me. I could feel it. The talk is coming. And then Kramer gives him a brilliant idea. He says, you know what? You dump her. Dump her before she can dump you. Great episode. Hilarious episode. And George is like, that's genius. A preemptive breakup. So he walks up to the girl. He calls her out. He says, look, I have to talk to you. It's not working out. We got to break up. And the girl, like, what? For reverse psychology. You're dumping me? She's now reassessing him. George must have something better on the side. George must have it going on. George's future is on skyrocketing. Of course, for those of you who don't know the show, George is like this loser. He's depicted as a guy who's got nothing going on in his life. Nothing. He's got no job, no career, no prospects. He's fat, short, bald. No women like him. So he uses reverse psychology on her. And what happens? The girl is absolutely enamored with him now. Now, all of a sudden, he's calling the shots. He tells her what to do. He's got hand, as they say. The secret. The crazy thing about it is women love a guy with hand, as they say. They love it. They love it. And I know a lot of you guys are like, oh, coach, that's so outdated. You're so wrong, coach. You're so wrong. That's so wrong. Women don't want that. Women want to be treated completely equal at every level. We're a generation of egalitarians, coach. Perfect equality. No, I agree. Women are equal in worth as a human being. I would tell you, I think even women are more important than men in society. However, when I say you got to have hand, I don't mean like you're worth more. I mean that you're a shot caller. Now, why is that? Any argument you give me, any argument, I'm going to dismiss it with a single comment. Single comment. I'm going to dismiss all your crazy surveys and all women's flowery speeches. I'm going to dismiss it with one simple fact. Go see what women buy in terms of romance novels. It's always a top G in control who tells her he calls the shot, he protects, he provides. He's super dominant alpha male type figure. Every single romance novel, it's never failed once. They never wrote a romance novel ever about a guy who's a complete egalitarian, cries, puts on makeup, he lets his women go out and party and drink and go out and go on vacation with her girlfriends on a weekend night out, come back with all sorts of dudes' numbers in her phone and messages throughout the night, texting, and she's on a friend date night. That's a thing now. They have friends date night. So your girlfriend goes out with a guy who's a friend of hers, and it's a date night, but it's not physical. It's just two friends. And all this cucking behavior. They never read a book about a guy like that. Maybe they did and never sold a single copy. That's not what excites women. That's not what drives women wild. I think they're feeding you guys a lot of BS, and I hope I can protect your ears from this. Now, you guys can disagree with me. Go ahead. I absolutely ask you to go ahead. Get in a relationship. Do at least 10 years in a relationship before you dismiss me to being wrong. Get in a relationship. Do 10 years. And then, I'll eat my words. Then. But I guarantee you that 99% of you are going to have a rough ride. Rough ride. If you have this type of attitude. I feel like women, when a man is too submissive and too nonchalant, kind of like lets himself get stepped over, she's just unattracted to him. The guy could be good looking. The guy could be chiseled. The guy could have a great personality. But if he's stepped on, women dismiss him. And I think there's a lot of good reasons for that. I think it has a lot to do with women's instincts. They don't even know this part about themselves. It's a deep psychological instinct. Now, there's a great book about this called 1 Billion Wicked Thoughts, written by two neurobiologists. And they talk about why women nowadays are obsessed with vampires and werewolves. And they basically chalk it up to women, an alpha male is not enough. They want an ultra alpha male. That's why they want the vampire, right? Because the vampire has superpowers. The werewolf can kill a regular alpha male. He can eat a regular alpha male alive. He's an ultra alpha male. Now, with that said, guys, I'm not saying you should ever be violent or do anything stupid like that. It's a complete opposite of what I'm saying. Be a gentleman, be courteous, be friendly, sweet, kind, but draw a line in the sand. There's certain things you don't accept from your partner. If you don't ever draw a line in the sand, and you got to find your own line. Okay, I have my lines, and if I told you what my lines are, you guys would be like, "That's really strict, coach. That's really, really strict." A lot of you would be like, "It's too much." That's the way I live, guys. And if my wife can't abide by those lines, then I'll find another wife. I will find another wife. And I'm not going to sit here and write poetry about it. No. I'll just find myself another wife and start all over again. But to do that, guys, you got to be able, I got to tell you something. It's really hard to have this attitude if you don't have two pennies to rub together. If she's the breadwinner, now you're really painted in the corner, man. I'm telling you, now you're going to get crushed. And it's funny because statistically, it's true. If a woman makes more money than a man, statistically, they initiate divorce far. I think the stats jump like 70% chance she's going to initiate divorce. Like a crazy number. It's a crazy number. If a woman wasn't making more money than her man, and then one day her career skyrockets and she's making more money than her man, statistically speaking, guys, I hate to say it, the numbers skyrocket. The chances of divorce skyrocket. And it's initiated by the woman. Scary statistics, guys. What can I tell you? But these are the numbers. I don't make these numbers. These are just the numbers we got to deal with. Boy, for real. But then you get paid. That's from Toby. Toby, that is true. That is true. Then you can sue her for alimony. It's incredible, isn't it? It's incredible. Coach, how did you deal with the cultural differences when you got married? That's from Rid. I made many compromises. The only thing I won't compromise is my religion. Okay, but my wife, over time, she converted to my religion. She converted to Islam. When I married her, she wasn't Muslim, and over the years, she became Muslim. So it really closed the gap. Okay, now she did it under her own device, not from pressure from me or anything like that. She just learned the religion over time. She decided for herself that that's what she wanted to be. Now, with that said, that definitely did close the gap, but it didn't eliminate it. There's still definitely a cultural issue. I think a certain way. She has certain ways of life, and I'll compromise on everything except my religion. That's the only thing I wouldn't compromise on ever. Andrew Tate was charged, and evidence is very clear. Believe you me, the man was a pimp, and no pimp is a gentle person. Good luck. Go look up the text evidence. That's from Hassan Haytham. Haytham, I'm not defending his previous career. Please, that's not what I meant. Let me make myself clear. Previously, he was on the internet doing, what do you call it again? Webcamming. I totally condemn that. I think it's ridiculous. I think it's ridiculous. I think it's bad for the woman. It's bad for the man. It's bad for society. I'm not for that at all. However, he did turn a new leaf. From what I understand, he stopped all that. He's trying to make things right. So I applaud him for that. Now, what I was commending him for is that he cultivates male virtues and he's unapologetic, because in our culture nowadays, anything male is stepped on. And I'll tell you why it's stepped on. Because there are no imminent wars. We feel like war is so far away. Our generation, the last two generations, didn't grow up with any war. Okay, now there are soldiers that went overseas and fought war. Those soldiers that went overseas, they know what war is. Okay, and I'm not gonna dismiss that in any sense. I'm talking about the general population. I'm not talking about the soldiers who went overseas. Okay, we have to make that very clear. Okay, everybody has to be clear on that. Soldiers who went overseas and fought and saw battle, they know what war is. However, the general population, let's call it 98% of the population, they never seen combat. So they don't need male virtues. However, go to Ukraine. I don't know if you guys are familiar with Ukrainian men. They're very manly. They're still very manly. The Orthodox Christians are very manly. I've trained with countless Ukrainians. They're great wrestlers. They're great boxers. They're great fighters. Ukrainians are old school. Okay? They're tough. When the war broke out, women and children out. There's no feminists. There was not one feminist in the world came up and said that's sexist, that women should be drafted. Not one feminist in the world. When violence is on the table, women sober up. Men sober. The population sobers up. When the Titanic was sinking and they were like, women and children first, there ain't no feminist that stood up and said, hey, that's inequality. If today we were on a giant cruise ship and it was sinking and the captain yelled out, women and children first, I guarantee you not a single feminist would stand up and say, hey, that's sexist. Imagine the boat is sinking. There's sharks circling in the water. Picture this. Do you think the feminists are going to be like, hey, that's sexist? It should be one man, one woman. No. Woke ideology has gone so far that I saw a video in Congress. One man they were talking about men and women's sports or people transitioning from men's sports to female sports, I should say. And one representative asked the other, if Mike Tyson identifies as a woman, should he go in female boxing? Listen to this question they asked him. They were in Congress and they were saying, if Mike Tyson identifies as a woman, should he be allowed in female boxing? And the reply was, short answer, yes. Can you believe it? This guy sitting in a suit behind a desk in a chair, never threw a punch in his life, probably never worked out a day in his life, is sitting behind a desk, and he thinks that in the boxing world, if Mike Tyson has feelings that he's a woman, then he should go in the women's division and fight another woman, a biological woman. Guys, let me tell you something. That is the dumbest sporting comment in history. That guy is he's an utter ignoramus, a fool, an nincompoop, an imbecile, a total weasel of a man who knows nothing about combat. Mike Tyson would literally kill every single person in the female division. Literally, they would all leave with irreversible brain damage and or die soon after the fight. We're talking about shattered jawbones, broken faces, orbitals, fractured craniums. We're talking about punctured lungs, broken ribs, punctured lungs. We're talking about people dying in hospitals now. Mike Tyson would literally kill them in the ring. And this fool of a man who knows nothing, he didn't say, well, you know what, I'd have to consult with boxing experts. We'd have to conduct a sparring match perhaps and, get some possible real world feedback. We'd have to maybe, engage and ask Mike Tyson, could you go 10% on this girl and see what happens? No, I understand if you're an ignoramus and you don't know. You got to test somehow in a safe way. You have to create a safe environment and kind of like dip your toe in the water. But this guy's, his ideology in his head did the math for him. Not the real world that did the math. It's his ideology doing the math in his head. And let me tell you something. He got the answer completely wrong. And even if he says, oh, well, Mike Tyson's going to have to go on hormone treatment, he still would crush every single woman in the ring. He would obliterate them. Don't you understand? This man is a phenom. We had no other man on earth that can match his genetic potential. We had no other man on earth at that time that could take a punch from this man. And you think because you give him a little estrogen and you're going to put him in the women's division? Dude, this is the dumbest comment in sports history made by an ignoramus sitting in a suit. Okay, guys, I got a bunch of super chats. Please, no more super chats because I'm about to wrap this puppy up. I'm going to do the super chats, then I'm going to keep it fair. I'm going to do some non-super chats, then I'm going to put this one in the bank. Guys, please, no more super chats. Andrew Hicks, you are a gentleman and a scholar. Thank you very much. That's his first super chat. Guys, you could learn from Andrew Hicks. The man is a gentleman and a scholar. Injured for 6 months, lost all gains. Advice on comeback. That's from Hoosie. Don't ever get injured again. Get strong and stable knees and strong and stable back. Guys, my best video ever is strong and stable back. I recommend the big three, guys. Strong and stable knees, strong and stable back, strong and stable running. Please, guys, get those. It's good for you. You're going to use it for the rest of your life. Learn the principles, learn the workouts. You will highly unlikely ever get injured again. Serious injury. Coach, I'm 24 and keen on learning BJJ for confidence and protection. Concerned about my age and time commitment due to personal and business goals. Worried I should be focused on wealth. Any insights? That's from Junior C. You're 24, my friend. You're very young. Do BJJ part-time. Do a little BJJ 3 times a week. It's going to keep you healthy. It's going to keep your mind focused. It's going to lower your stress levels. Do a little bit of strong and stable on the side to keep your body healthy. Pursue your career goals. Do it, my friend. You're not going to be a BJJ world champion. It doesn't seem like your mind is there. That's fine. That's okay. Accrue wealth. Use your wealth for good. Make the world a better place with your wealth. Help youngsters in the future get their lives together. Make the world a better place with your wealth. Don't buy expensive Gucci bags and stupid things like that. $500 underwear and stuff like that. Don't get wrapped up in that life. Use your wealth for good. Find ills in your community and use your wealth to crush those ills. That's what I recommend you do. You're going to have a much better life. You're going to have much better happiness. You're going to connect with human beings. You're going to make friends you never thought you would have. You're going to do everything Conor McGregor could have done with his career and money. Okay, that wasn't nice. I'll take that back. But you know what I mean. A lot of people out there are so filthy rich. You know, I respect Andrew Tate. He claims he gives $25 million a year to charity. If it's true, man, he's a really top G. That's why I have such respect for him. Guys, if you give $25 million a year to charity, man, I will tip my hat to you. How many hungry people you fed and clothed? Hungry, homeless people. There are billionaires around the world. They can easily walk into a town and start a program. I don't believe in giving away free money because it just makes the problem worse. Okay, I'm not going to get into a tangent now on that. That's a different topic for another day. However, I highly believe that you could start programs to help people, give people opportunities to change their life around. That's what I would do. So look, I recommend you do, you have to train 3 times a week. You have to. That's how you keep your body healthy. You don't want to be rich and unhealthy because then when you do the math, you're really poor. Okay? To be rich, guys, you got to be moral. You got to have a steady income. You don't have to be the Rockefellers, but you got to have a steady income, guys. You can't be, it's hard to have a good life when you're broke. You can't. Guys, why do we want money? We want to take care of the people we love. I want to be able to take care of my children, my wife, my family members, and I want to be able to help contribute to ameliorating the ills of society. That's why we want to make money. You're never going to see me walking around with a Gucci watch and a $5,000 suit. Never. You'll never see me do that. Never. There's only one exception. If I'm ever gifted a gift, I wear that gift to honor the person who gave it to me. But I would never buy a overly priced product. Never. I find it to be ridiculous. But my friend, you need to train 3 times a week. It won't make you any poorer. It'll make you richer. It'll clear your mind, and it'll make you physically rich. Okay, that's even more important than, I would say as important as financially rich. Brent Garcia, coach, I'm very average blue belt who is going to begin training at top tier gyms soon in Austin, Texas. Do you have any tips for someone trying to reinvent their game at a high tier gym? That's from Brent Garcia. Brent, I highly, highly recommend you sharpen up your basics, okay? Basics. You're a blue belt, okay? Don't get too fancy, too advanced because I'm going to an advanced gym. No. Refine the basics. Revisit the basics. Make sure you know them well. The basics done well can take you at the highest level. Listen to what I just said. I'm going to say it again. The basics done well can take you at the highest level of competition. Okay, guys, no more super chats, please. No more super chats. I'm about to put this one to bed. Is fitra circular reasoning, and does it fall into the naturalistic fallacy? That's from Hassan Haytham. No, fitra is not circular. Fitra is not circular. Guys, for those of you who don't know what fitra is, it's an Arabic word that has no English equivalent. It talks about innate knowledge. Fitra is innate knowledge. I cannot get into innatism now because I'll talk for an hour. I've talked about it in the past. I will talk about it again in the future. However, it is not circular because it's not a logical argument. The fitra is not a logical argument. The fitra is outside the scope of scientific evidence and rationale. That's the whole point. It's known intuitively. I'll ask you to think about this thought experiment so you can figure it out for yourself. Okay? This is my version of a thought experiment given to us by Leibniz. Okay? It's my version of it. Imagine I was really, really tiny and I could walk around inside your brain. I'll see brain matter. I imagine I'm really tiny, but I'm super scientific. Okay? I'm super scientific. I'm super logical. I study your brain. I discover neurons. I discover chemicals. I discover brain states. I discover blood flow. I see gray matter. I see all sorts of biology. I determine the weight of your brain. I determine the circumference. I determine how old your brain is. I see all this data. But no matter how much I study the mind, no matter how much I study the brain, I know nothing about your mind. I know nothing about your mind. The mind is outside the test tube. No scientific experiment ever proves the mind, ever. No logician ever gave us an argument that proved the mind. The mind is only known directly. You're experiencing the mind directly. That's taste, okay? That's what the mystics call dao, taste. You're having a direct experience of mind. Guys, in every philosophical circle, we all agree that the mind exists. All of us. Guys, I'm telling you something. It's so hard to get philosophers to agree. Man. Philosophers, we disagree on everything. Everything. We even debate if 1 + 1 = 2. We even debate that. However, nobody denies that a mind exists. Nobody. It's considered self-evident because you're experiencing the mind. To refute the mind is to prove the mind. If you argue against the mind, it's a self-defeating position. The mind, not my mind or your mind, a mind is irrefutable. But we're not using logic to know it. We're not using a scientific experiment. There is no scientific experiment that ever proved the mind. This is known as the hard problem of consciousness. Guys, Google it. It's very well known. It's very well known. I'm not making any of this up, guys. This is like basic math to philosophers. Basic. It's referred to as the hard problem of consciousness. I want you guys to Google that later, okay? The easy problem is weighing the brain, measuring the brain, electrical signals, etc. That's all stuff, empirical stuff. We can use our senses and scientific instruments to detect it. No problem. However, the mind, I only believe in the mind because I have one. I believe you have a mind because you're kind of like me. You talk like me. You walk like me. I'm assuming you have a mind. I don't know that for a fact. I just know that I have a mind. Okay. I'm having a direct experience with the mind. The fitra is the same thing. So it's not a logical argument to begin with. And to deny it is self-defeating. Okay, so that's a really short answer to your question. You have to understand there are certain things that are outside the arena of logic and outside the arena of science. They're outside the arena of science. You cannot put everything in a test tube. Hence why philosophers argue that science is not absolute. Okay, science is a major part of how we know things, but it's not absolute. It doesn't tell us everything. There are certain things that are outside the scientific circle. My boy Anthony Levesque-Kenville, other than theologians, are there any serious thinkers promoting Cartesian substance dualism in our modern era? I wouldn't say yes. I would say no, but I think dualism is very, very misunderstood. Okay, Descartes made a huge blunder when he was proponing, when he's propagating dualism. He basically assumed that dualism, for those of you who don't know, you have the mind. Okay, like think about a ghost. Okay, maybe that's not the best analogy, but just use that for now, ghost. And then you have matter, like this hard thing, this thing out there in the world that our senses can pick up. And they must mingle together. You know, like a human being is like, you're a meat puppet supposedly, and there's a ghost living inside you. Let's call it your soul or whatever. Where do they mingle? Descartes said. He dissected human brains and he's like, oh, they must mingle here in the pineal gland. Today we have a lot more evidence of what the pineal gland does, and Descartes' followers later on rejected the idea. Nobody believes that. You know why he said, look, he gave the worst argument. He's a genius, guys. Even geniuses make mistakes. Descartes is a genius. He made a mistake. It's what we call a blunder. Like, the guy's so smart, but he just screwed up here. He's like, look, you got 2 ears, you got 2 nostrils, you got 2 eyes, you got 2 hemispheres, but you got 1 pineal gland. Maybe that's where they mix. He affirmed it. He didn't just hypothesize it. He affirmed it. I think he was taken by emotion because, he had discovered it in the human brain, and I can't explain why he would jump the gun like that. But he did. And now today it's a bit ridiculed. But dualism, in my opinion, is highly misunderstood. Very few people can understand dualism. Very few, even philosophers. Sometimes I have long discussions with philosophers and I end up leaving the table and I tell myself, these guys don't understand dualism. I one day will write a book on dualism, and I believe dualism is in a certain way true, in a certain way. Not like how Descartes expressed it. That's why I think Descartes kind of like, he killed dualism in a way. He propagated dualism, but because he flawed so badly, people kind of don't want to touch it with a 10-foot pole. I think that every human being is part visible and invisible. So I use a different terminology for dualism. There's 2 parts to every human being. There's your brain and there's your mind, and the 2 are not the same. Do the 2 live in the same dimension? That's a question for philosophers and physicists to figure out over time, over the years. We don't know enough to answer that question yet. But in my opinion, eventually we're going to realize the human beings live in 2 separate dimensions simultaneously. And I know there's more than 2 dimensions. I'm talking about 2 different worlds. I shouldn't say dimension. That's more of a scientific term. We live in 2 different worlds simultaneously. One world is unseen but experienced, and the other one is seen and experienced. Because it's unseen, science cannot detect it. Therefore, people kind of just dismiss it because you can't put it in a test tube. But we all simultaneously, at all times, experience it. Okay, guys. Coach, will you go live more often, please? That's from Sam86. Absolutely, guys. I'm back on my regular schedule. I have been away. I was away for one vacation week, one fight week, and then one training camp week. I traveled the globe. And now I am back in action. Guys, please do like, share, and comment this episode. I got more super chats. I said no more super chats, but I'm going to put these two away, and then that's it. What grips other than front headlock would you classify as A tier? In previous videos, you mentioned you would classify front headlock along with other grips as A tier. That's from Anish. Anish, I classify moves as A++, A+, B+, B-, C move, B moves, D moves. What's an A++ move on the front headlock? I would tell you high elbow guillotine. High elbow guillotine is an A++ maneuver. If done correctly, it'll get you a sub or a takedown and in top position. So I would tell you that's an A++ move. It'll work if I'm fighting a bigger, stronger, trained opponent, and if I'm tired, it'll still work. If I had to choose one grip for the rest of my days, it would be high elbow guillotine. The escapes against high elbow guillotine are not super strong, and it's a punishing grip. It's a punishing grip. Get good at it. Okay. Samuel, I heard you wanted more super chats. Samuel, no more super chats, my brother. Thank you. You're a gentleman and a scholar. I appreciate it. Please, no more super chats, guys. Anish Banzali asks a deep philosophical question, and he hits a super chat, but he spent $20. Anish, please, no more super chats. That's the last super chat I'm doing. How do you justify your belief in 3 laws of logic? Non-contradiction, that's number 1. Excluded middle, that's number 2. And the law of identity. What is your justification for these? If no justification, how can you rely on logic at all? Guys, I'm going to explain this question a little bit more. He posed it brilliantly, but he kind of put it succinctly because he doesn't have a lot of characters. He can't write much. He's not going to write a novel. Aristotle gave us 3 rules to logic. Okay, and these were refined later on by Leibniz. Number 1 is the law of non-contradiction. You can't be asleep and awake at the same time. That would be contradictory. You can't be tall and short. You can't have P and not P proposition and the negation of the proposition. I can't say all men are mortal and Socrates is not mortal, but he's also a man. Socrates, the man, is not mortal. That would mean that contradicts the first statement. All men are mortal. I can't say that I'm married and I'm a bachelor. That's contradictory because bachelors are unmarried. Law of not contradiction is self-evident. It's self-evident to us. Now, a lot of people refer to it as an axiom. We live by it, and we don't know why we live by it. That's what my friend here, Anesh, is trying to say. Is it an axiom? Is it just we live by it blindly? We just say it works? No, I'm telling you, I consider it to be self-evident. It doesn't need to be explained. It's self-evident. To negate it would be to contradict yourself, and I find that to be wrong. Now, I believe that's fitri. That's innate. I know it innately. Not Descartes. Aristotle has a book. Man, I must be tired. Socrates in the book of Meno, Plato's book. Socrates is the main character. He questions a slave boy with no education, and he asks him some basic mathematical questions. He draws a few lines in the sand, and he kind of asks him. He asked the slave boy named Menos in Greek, to answer a few questions, and the boy had logical deduction. And he's saying, look, the boy was never taught. He's a slave boy. He knows nothing. All he knows is what we tell him to do. Yet, he has these innate understandings. It's self-evident. It's fitri. It's innate. Okay? More on that on a different day, because I already talked about innatism already too much today. Excluded middle. Okay, guys, what's excluded middle? Something has to be right or wrong. It can't be both. It has to be either right or it has to be wrong. It can't be neutral. An objective fact has to be either right or wrong. That's the law of excluded middle. That one, I'll tell you something, I don't agree is 100% true. And I won't get into it. Why? Because it's very complicated. Okay? But just because you prove something to be false doesn't mean its opposite is true. You still have to prove the opposite to be true. Okay? Some people believe that if I prove you're not married, then you must be a bachelor. This is a very complex topic. There's actually a hot debate on this in the philosophy circles. A very hot debate. Now, if I prove you're not over 6 feet tall, does that prove you're less than 6 feet tall? If I prove you don't have an odd number of hairs on your head, does that prove you have an even number of hairs on your head? Does that necessitate it? Most philosophers would say yes, but I'm still not 100% on this. Okay, I'll tell you, in my heart of hearts, I still not have taken a position on it. The law of identity. Wow, man, the law of identity. I believe the law of identity is true, but if I bring this up, I'm going to get mobbed by the alphabet mafia. The alphabet mafia will attack me. Okay, I got to be real careful here. But look, I've talked about the law of identity in the past. A thing is the same as itself. Wouldn't you agree? Coach Zahabi is the same as Coach Zahabi. Wouldn't you agree? Would you agree to that? I would agree to it. If there are two objects in the world, if everything I could say about A, I could say about B, then they're one and the same. If I could say something different about A, and that one thing I can't say about B, they're not the same. That's why Leibniz told us the brain and the mind are not the same. Because there's things you could say about the mind that you cannot say about the brain. There are things you could say about the brain that you could not say about the mind. For instance, we can say that we could weigh the brain. Can you weigh the mind? No, we can't weigh the mind. Therefore, they're not the same. That's the law of identity. The law of identity seems, when you first learn it, it seems useless. But then when you get in deep philosophical discussions, you realize this law is super important. And in our modern day and age, it's super important. But again, I won't get into that. Guys, thank you very much. I'm going to do one last non-super chat just so I can make the whole world of non-super chatters happy, because they're our dear friends and I want to make sure they feel the love. Love you, Coach. That's from Paul Pardo. My boy, I love you right back. Coach, you missed my super chat. That's from William. I did that one, I believe, after my brother William. Okay, guys, what else we got here? One last one, a fun one. Have you seen the movie My Dinner with Andre? And if so, what did you think about it? That's from Hassan Haytham. Guys, that's the last one. No more super chats. My Dinner with Andre. My Dinner with Andre. No, I've never seen it. My Dinner with Andre. Oh, it's with Wallace Shawn, the guy from Princess Bride. I love this guy. It's one of my favorite movies, is Princess Bride, when I was growing up. I was scared you're going to ask me about the Barbie movie. And that was going to send me into another rant. Hold on. My Dinner with Andre. Let's see what you're cooking up for us. My Dinner with Andre, the trailer. Let's see here.
That's why I think that people have affairs. I mean, you know, in the theater, if you get good reviews, feel for a moment that you've got your hands on something. You know what I mean? I mean, it's a good feeling. But then that feeling goes quite quickly. And once again, you don't know quite what you should do next. What'll happen? Well, have an affair, and up to a certain point, you can really feel that you're on firm ground. You know, it's a sexual conquest to be made. There are different questions. Does she enjoy the ears being nibbled? How intensely can you talk about Schopenhauer at some elegant French restaurant? Whatever nonsense it is.
The fact that he just mentioned Schopenhauer, I'm into this movie already.
It's all, I think, to give you the semblance that there's firm earth. Well, have a real relationship with a person that goes on for years. That's completely unpredictable. Then you've cut off all your ties to the land and you're sailing into the unknown, into uncharted seas. You know, people hold on to these images of father, mother, husband, wife, again, for the same reason, as they seem to provide some firm ground. But there's no wife there. What does that mean? A wife, a husband, a son. A baby holds your hands, and then suddenly there's this huge man lifting you off the ground, and then he's gone. Where's that son?
It sounds like a really deep movie, man. Wow. All right, I'm definitely going to watch this movie. You piqued my interest. It seemed kind of like funny for some reason. I don't know, it kind of made me laugh a bit. It's like a weirdo movie. It seems like totally weird. But I'm definitely gonna watch it. I gotta find it. I gotta watch it. My dinner with Andre. Ask me next episode what I thought of my dinner with Andre. I'll probably go through a huge rant for you. And guys, as always, I had a blast hanging out with you guys. Every week we're gonna have this podcast. Okay, I promise you guys, we're gonna do it on a weekly basis. I'm gonna do my best to stick to a weekly schedule. Thank you all for tuning in, guys. Check out Juji Club. Use promo code summer 50 off. It's at the bottom of your screen. Buy anything you like on jujiclub.com. The best techniques for the best price. You will never find a better quality deal than this. Guys, thank you very, very much, and I'll see you all in the next episode. Thank you.